Hi, this is Dino Sana, owner of the Worldwide Wrestling Alliance, and you are watching That Way Cool Wrestling Show.
Hey everybody, it's That Way Cool Wrestling Show. My name is Danny J, along with Charles, Gemini, Gregory, LeGrande, Onslaught, Jackson, and Mad Mark Lindsay. Once again, we're happy you joined us today. You can join us on Facebook at That Way Cool Wrestling Show and on our website at thatwaycoolwrestlingshow.com. Today's show, it's Bruisers versus Technicians. Two completely polar opposites, but the end result was always the same, our entertainment. We're going to talk about that in depth today, about all the different Bruisers as well as the different technicians that were out there, what made them great, and what we liked about it, pretty much. LeGrande, when you think about Bruisers, in a sense, what are some names that come to mind for you?
Well, we got so many out there. Depending upon what generation you want to deal with. You got guys out there from the Brooklyn Brawler.
Yeah.
You would go out there and punch in the mouth. You had Nikolai Volkov.
Yep.
He was also a great one who would do it. But, me personally, I just got a soft spot in my heart for like the original Dusty Rhodes when he was out there with Dick Murdoch and Dick Slater, and they would go out there and they'd punch you in the mouth and make you regret you ever put on a plumber. No, that's before the son of a plumber, remember? That's what they used to make you regret ever getting into business. He would get in there and beat you down, man. So I love that. You got guys out there like Ole Anderson.
Yes.
Ole Anderson, one tough old son of a gun.
You said Ole, if you can't go Ole without Arn punching him out too.
Well, see, you
Arn,
cut me
I
off,
think,
though.
but Arn, I think,
But see, here's
follows
the thing.
my line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Arn had a thing where he was 2-1.
Yeah.
Just like Steve Austin. Back before
Steve Austin,
he was Stone Cold Steve Austin, when he was still doing the Hollywood Blondes thing and all that, he was technical. He was stunning Steve Austin. He had that technical thing going for him. But then you fast forward a little bit, beer swilling, ass kicking son of a bitch. That's what he did.
That's right. I mean, when I think about it, I go way back, and you're starting with guys like Bruiser Brody, the missing link. A lot of it goes back to world class. Like Texas had a lot of bruisers back in the day. King Kong Bundy, back in the day. When he first started, and then you got guys like the One Man Gang. A lot of these big guys, and once again, they all seem to be dating back to like world class championship wrestling. Down with the Von Erichs and stuff like that. But then you once again you get those fine line guys like Bam Bam Bigelow. Bigelow was a guy who was a brawler, who literally was a technician and a high flyer. It's one of those migrated, like those hybrid type of wrestlers that were able to take down both. And you had guys like Dick Slater, and you had guys like
I'm gonna name the ultimate, Terry Funk.
Still going. Still going.
And you're talking about a guy who won the NWA title in the 70s as a technician, who brought a wild side to it. And then reinvented himself at 50 years old in ECW. I mean, that.
But you guys keep talking about the hybrids. Let's stay where we're going to stay, the Bruisers. All right? Buzz Sawyer.
Buzz Sawyer.
Yes.
Buzz Sawyer is the original to me. Him. Terry Bam Bam Gordy. Getting there and punch you in the mouth. All right?
Terry Gordy and Steve Williams.
Oh, yeah.
See,
Two
Dr.
big brawlers.
Steve Williams.
Guys like that, you just gotta miss. Who was the one? And here I go, my memory again. Slap the reporter in the ear, give him the eardrum.
Vader.
No.
You're talking about
Dave Schultz.
Dave Schultz. He was a bruiser.
Yes, he was.
He'd punch in the mouth. But see, you need that nowadays because I hate to say it, when a show is lacking that oomph that night, throw a Bruisers match in there, see what happens. The guys that want to go into the crowd.
Turns the place out.
Turns the place
Well, if you're going to say
out.
Buzz Sawyer, then you got to say Maniac Matt Bourne. Otherwise known as Doink. But, I mean, to me, it's a sadder part. Not as sad as Big Josh. Because I think Big Josh was the worst gimmick he ever did. Because Doink, you could go somewhere with it. I'm afraid of clowns, I'll say it. So Doink was a bother to me. But Maniac Matt Bourne, who teamed with Buzz Sawyer back in the day, was another guy who just would come in and punch you in the mouth. And that was what it started with, you know?
And you guys were talking hybrids. I mean, to me, the ultimate hybrid that we ever had, and I'll use it, and not because, you know, I've seen him in Smoky Mountain, and I see him in ECW, was Jack.
Yeah.
Jack
Yes.
and Russell. But I think you'd rather bust you in the mouth with something. To me, everything's a person's personality. You know, I know Slaw used to wrestle. I've seen Slaw get in the ring and go toe-to-toe with anybody. But then I see him watch him throw someone over their head, like over, outside the ring, get out the ring, beat the hell out of him. And I'm like, ooh, does he owe him money? Like this? But that's what he did. I can't say anything. That's all I did. Look, I ain't nothing technical. I just punch in the mouth.
Well,
But
see,
it's like, even now, right now, if you look at it right now, that's what they're doing with Reigns. They're trying to turn him into a brawler. The things he's doing is more like smash mouth, the big punches, the
Right.
spears, stuff outside the ring, you know. But they get away from it, and it's hard because that's what people see as wrestling.
You know what I do? I think though, as a brawler, and you mentioned Reigns, and how they're having to do certain things, a brawler is not necessarily high impact moves. A brawler is someone that beats you up in such an ugly way, it's a funny statement, but such an ugly, sloppy way that you're like, you cringe when you watch it. You're like, oh, look what he just did. Like, I remember.
It looks like a fight.
And we go back to hybrids. I remember watching Arn Anderson technically chain wrestle with somebody, then put him in the ropes, grabs the guy's hand, puts his own hand in his mouth, and then squeezes the guy's mouth shut to make him bite his own hand. That is some ugly shit right there. And it's one of those things where you're like, whoa, I would not, that's what made me respect him. Like, this guy is a badass. You know, regardless of what I'm seeing him do in the ring, then he turns around and makes the guy bite his own hand. That's pretty bully-like. You know what I mean? And you go back to guys like Brody, and you go back to
Abdullah. How about Abdullah?
Abdullah.
Oh.
You know?
I seen him beat the shit out of Gregory one time, because he was back there telling Abdullah what he's going to do. And I shook my head like, I think he's going to kill this boy. And I remember watching that match, because he was a heavy-handed man.
yes,
Naturally heavy-handed.
yes.
Very nice. I'm sorry, you can say what you want to say. I was at the bar with him. Very nice man. But, man, he got in there, and he was Abdullah the Butcher. And he beat the piss out of this guy. And the whole time, I'm sitting in the back like, I walked away because I didn't want to be a witness. I ain't lying. I did not want to be a witness to that, what the carnage I seen. But that's what he did. And when you seen him pull that fork out, what did everyone do? Oh my God, he's going to get him. You know? And he was that type of person that could take a show and change that whole vibe of a show. You know, you come out, it's kind of let Abdullah come out. Even New Jack, Public Enemy, they would come out, remember?
Yeah.
Grunge and Rock, man, they come out, you be like, oh, here we go. You come out like this, and they coming out to kick
They
somebody.
come out swaying.
They coming out to kick someone in the mouth.
I remember one time I was working, I was promoting and doing like videography, and I was producing backstage videos and stuff like that. And we did a show up in Lockhaven, Pennsylvania, and Abdul was on the show. And like you said, very polite, wonderful man, very charming. And then he got in there, and the guy he was working was another kind of like a big guy, and he got his fork out. And you almost wonder if it's the same fork. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? When you look at it, you're like, oh my God, I'm seeing it up close. I know what I'm looking at. And I'm like, oh, that's really like grungy. And then he made this guy look like it was a pig roast. Because it was just a stuffed pig. This guy was bleeding all over the place. And then he delivers that big elbow, and Abdul was a big man.
He was a big man.
Big man. Drops his elbow, goes back to what we were talking about the finisher before. Let me tell you something. If anybody took an elbow from a guy that big, it is going to be over. There is no gimmick about that. But, you know, it was one of those things, like you said, he brought it, and people were like, you know, we're in Lock Haven, Pennsylvania. It was at the university, so these were college kids seeing Abdullah the Butcher for the first time. They're going to see a wrestling show, and then they're seeing him come out. You know, I mean, it was like a culture shock for some of these people. You know, but like you said, a brawler mentality. It's one of those things where it's sloppy and it's ugly. And you're like, oh,
this entertaining.
And it's the most entertaining thing in the world. Like, I'll love to watch a technician. But man, when you see a brawler do what he does best.
Mick Foley.
Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Mick Foley had some of the most brutal matches I've seen. United States, Japan, whatever, those death matches were crazy.
And Terry Funk, yeah.
And then you have guys like Big Daddy V, Viscera got wrestled, you know?
Yeah.
Big Daddy V, he would go out there every night, he would do his thing. But when you got in the ring with him, you knew it was about to be a beating, you know? So
You know, I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that were out there, a lot of people that come, like you said, they come to mind. There's so many of them. I think back to the missing link. You know, I keep going back to him. There is a guy who,
Before his time.
well before his time,
Well before his time.
well before his time. I mean, I'm talking generations before his time, literally.
If he was doing that gimmick right now,
Oh my God, how
he'd be
over,
the man.
you know.
He'd be the man.
Yeah, how could you not? And then you go back to our next thing and put him with a manager?
it's like the Boogeyman.
Yeah,
The Boogeyman.
the Boogeyman had potential to be that next missing link,
Yeah,
honestly.
he was like the modern day missing link, but just needed a little more. But I love the Boogeyman.
Right.
You know.
I mean,
I'm
once
not
again,
eating-
it's a
I'm
cartoon.
not eating words.
The cartoony took over where it could have been something really, really good.
Yeah.
Now, we switch gears a little bit, and let's go on the technician side. Now you're talking about someone who can be equally as badass, but they're technically just beating you down. A lot of times, I can go with guys like Tully Blanchard, okay? And believe it or not, once again, another hybrid, Ronnie Garvin. If you go back and watch Saturday night, you know, TBS 605.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he is.
Because if he is, I'll be scared, because you probably peeping in his window. You
I
think,
know,
"Oh,
like,
somebody-
Ronnie.
Oh.
Ronnie. But Ronnie Garvin, if you watch him, a lot of times when he would be working a job or something like that on Saturday night, the dissection that would happen, and you'd be like, he's a face, right? You're like, he is a good guy, but he's doing some of the most horrible things I've ever seen anybody do to a man, you know, to the point where it's like, he's got to be bad. Oh, no, he's going against Ric Flair. Oh, okay. You almost forgot, like, that he was a good guy because of how bad he was in the ring. And, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, he was rough like that as a brawler, but he actually made the technical side rough. Like, if he put you in an arm bar, he put you in this, like, very visceral arm bar. Or he got you in this technical move where he's kind of tying you up like a pretzel, but then the way he would do it, it would look like he's mangling you to death.
Well, you know who else was like that because he was a bigger man? It was Conan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Conan was he was a very big individual. But he technically, he chew you alive.
Yeah.
He can out wrestle. I mean, it's just like, wow. That man at that size is just working the hell out of this guy. You're like laughing to a point like, wow. You know, and he was excellent wrestler. You know,
Conan made you earn it.
there you go. He made you work for that. He made you,
Yes.
you know, it was that type of thing. But you're talking about that, a lot of the Latin wrestlers, you had, Eddie Guerrero was one of the best technicians you ever see.
Yeah, yes,
You know?
yes.
And he can make a match flow. He can brawl. You know, we're not gonna go back to that. But I see him and Benoit, oh my God.
Exactly.
You're like, Benoit, what? You're like, whoa, like this. But great matches, fantastic matches. Two guys that aren't with us anymore, but you gotta give them their props. They were the best in the business at that time.
But Benoit was another one who was a hybrid.
He was a hybrid.
He was a hybrid, and then he opens it up to somebody else because he was a complete homage to the Dynamite Kid.
Yes.
in the British Bulldogs, who was another one that like didn't like David Boy Smith was always really happy and he's very handsome young man, but then Dynamite Kid didn't say nothing. You know, he always looked like he was pissed off, and I think physically he actually usually was, from what I understand from it. He
was
wasn't.
pretty bad.
He was just a very angry man. You know what I mean? But he was a good guy.
The poor man's in a wheelchair now.
Yeah. I mean, but you know, one of those guys that you're just like, whoa, this guy just come up, and he was a short guy. This goes back to what you were saying before. He was a short guy who you were sitting there saying, there's no way he's going to go to a giant of a man, but he, like Benoit, would go up and just beat the crap out of you. I watched.
So when he did his promos, right?
Yes.
Was he sitting on the encyclopedia and speak dangling like you are right now?
Right now.
Oh, I'm just, all right, go
My
ahead.
workout
I'm
is
just
intense.
asking.
I'm surprised I'm not sweating right now.
I'm just asking. All right, but go ahead.
But I remember watching Benoit do a squash match on Nitro against a young guy named Big Ron Stud. He was an up and comer out of the thing who was going with that name. Real big guy. It wasn't really nothing to him. You know, I mean, like he definitely needed development.
Yeah.
But in the match, Benoit goes up to him, and Benoit's up to his chest. Like literally, this guy has a foot and a half on top of him. And Benoit gets up in his face, smacks the dude in the face, and then proceeds to squash the shit out of this guy in a match. And going back to what you were saying before, like it's unbelievable. I believe that because Benoit came off as someone that would beat the crap out of you. Period, end of story. No matter how big or small you are, there are some people that exclude that rule. And I always thought about that when I was training, because they always said, listen, when you're wrestling a bigger guy, you can't manhandle him, you know, like you're trying to and stuff like that. And I would be like, but Benoit did it, and he did it so impressive.
Listen, you wrestled me.
Yes.
If you'd have slapped me in my face, I'd have beat the hell out of you.
Kids,
Let's just get it on the audience.
Well, from a technical standpoint, you know, obviously there's the go-to. There's the flares, there's the hearts, there's the Hennings. But one of my favorite, and I didn't appreciate him at the time, but looking back, one of the best technical wrestlers of any generation was Mike Rotunda. There's a guy who,
you're right.
Varsity Club, IRS, okay, teamed with DiBiase. He was so good that you didn't even know how good he was, and you didn't notice it because, like I said, he wasn't one of my favorite characters growing up.
You know why? Because gimmick-wise, he never really could get or put over a solid over gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, other than being Mike Rotunda, but Mike Rotunda was only going to take you so far because after the '80s, you needed more flash.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to really be noticed. And Mike Rotunda couldn't go that flashy, hence why IRS came in. And World Wrestling Federation had a way of making these unbelievable characters household names.
Right, over the
And
top.
there's another person that fits what you're saying right there. You didn't know how good it was Mike Olson.
Yeah.
Mike Olson could wrestle.
Yeah.
He could work. But he just couldn't get over. You know?
Right.
He tried, but he was an excellent wrestler.
He was the fat chick dude, right, in WCW for a while.
Yeah, the fat
He had so many.
That 70s
sad,
guy.
yeah, that was sad gimmicks because when he was in ECW, when he was ECW champion, he had some great matches.
This is Mike Awesome.
Was Mike Awesome? I remember him. You know, we're in Philadelphia, so obviously we know it. He wrestled JT Smith, and Dan near broke him in half. JT Smith was outside. Mike Awesome is this 300-pound dude flying through the air, jumps through the ropes, and crushes JT Smith over the guardrail.
I remember that he came back.
That's an image. I was like 5 feet away. I'm like, wow, you know. And he went to WCW, got the big payday. I was very happy for him. Unlike at the time where I was mad as hell. They're still my ECW guys, and he got the big payday. And then they gave him these crap gimmicks. You know, like he was with Lance Storm for a while, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
Then they gave him the 70s, but you're talking about a guy who could step in the ring with Kevin Nash as a bruiser, and then step in the ring with a Lance Storm or a Shane Douglas and
wrestle.
But let's face it, you've had matches where Mike Awesome went in there with Masato Tanaka.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the greatest matches I've ever seen.
Those matches were nothing short of incredible. because it gave you everything from both ends of the spectrum.
Yes.
They beat the ever-loving crap out of each other, and they pulled out some of the sweetest moves you've ever seen.
Never seen.
This side of the Atlantic.
Essentially, you want to talk about that, we're talking about a lot of great wrestlers. We had one just recently passed, Hayabusa.
Yeah.
Did you see him in the ring, you're like, you couldn't keep up. But when he got in there, he can go toe to toe. It was more or less, they had to keep up with him.
Mhm.
You know, he was the high flyer, the suicide, diving. But in the ring, he was also very, very, very solid. Extremely gifted. You know, he did what the people wanted.
But see, that's suicide, and that takes brawling to a different level. Someone like Hayabusa, who once again did a lot of suicide dives and moonsaults out of the ring and stuff like that. In a way, that's like the evolution of the bruiser,
Yeah.
in a sense,
In a sense.
because I'm using my body to hurt you
Hurt you.
in some sort of a way.
Yeah.
You know, that I can't get you right now, but I'm gonna throw myself into peril, and you're gonna feel something, either my head, my leg, or whatever. You know, I'm throwing caution to the wind. That embodies, I think, a bruiser. You know, in
Who's
the sense
doing that right now, guys?
Brock Lesnar?
No. Using their body and just taking an ass whooping. Come on.
Oh, is it the guy you're gonna marry?
Yeah, he does that a lot.
Oh, sorry. No. You know what? If Mark's not here next show, everyone knows.
Go Nicky!
Lincoln Hospital, whatever room they'll give him, he keeps talking to them. Well, go ahead.
You started the statement. Who are we talking
I
about?
don't talk to y'all no more.
Another guy who you don't, based on his gimmick, you don't see as a bruiser, but and you see him as a technical wrestler, but he's actually more of a bruiser. Believe it or not, is the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and Ric Flair, I think, is a product of when he came in. Harry Funk,
Sting.
Dusty Rhodes. Well, Sting, being a little bit younger, was like on that edge, but Flair,
Younger, he's 54.
but Flair's 67 or 66.
73. No, I'm
That's
joking.
right. But the thing is that Flair, when you really watch Flair, Flair is punching you in the chops. Flair is kicking you in the leg. He's technically breaking you down, but he's, much like a Harley race, he's pounding you in.
I like
He's
the
not
cooking.
doing it wildly, which gives you that like finesse.
Well,
is
that's
Ric
that
Flair.
Vern Gagne
called ring
method.
Ring savvy. Thank you.
Ring
Yes,
savvy. I'd agree. Yeah.
exactly.
But before we get too far away, there's a couple guys that nobody's mentioned. Dean Malenko?
Dean Malenko, probably modern day, one of the best technical wrestlers that were out there.
Yeah, good punch you in the face.
All day. He could break you down.
But I think he really went
7 ways
so
from
solid
Sunday.
technical though.
Yeah, he did.
He
Yeah.
really did. Man of 1,000
1,000
moves.
moves,
yeah. He could
Well,
break you
Jericho
down
had 1,000
seven ways from Sunday and make every last one of them work the crowd. You know?
Well, even now as a hybrid, we're talking about technical. The only person I can think right now, you guys always tease me about Ziggler, but AJ Styles.
Yeah.
AJ Styles, high impact, he'll punch you in the face, but then he'll just dance around you in the ring, make you look retarded. Him and Jericho a couple weeks ago was an incredible match, and you know I was actually impressed. You know, I thought Jericho was getting a little chunky. He was tired,
Yeah,
but
he
then
was
he went
breathing.
toe to toe. You know, and
Well, I think that says a lot about
thought that
Jericho
was-
too.
yeah, that was a
I
great
think Jericho
match.
wanted to put AJ. I think
I think that
AJ's
was a-
having a hard time getting.
that's one of the
over right
best
now.
matches of the year. You know, I really do believe that.
Well, I want to do final thoughts.
Final thoughts, for me, Bruiser technical, I'm more of a Bruiser guy. I used to love watching the Bruisers. Hope we get back to that more and more of the old style of Bruisers. I like technical wrestling, don't get me wrong, I do, I enjoy watching it. But just coming from my background, I like watching the Bruisers. So,
I think on myself, once again, I gotta agree with him. I was always really into the Bruisers because I think that's what we saw.
yes.
I think so. We are a product of what we were given. I actually found, in a sick way, relaxation in seeing somebody get hit with a baseball bat. 'Cause, you know, it was one of those things, well, think about it. You have your day.
What, it wasn't you?
Yeah, it wasn't me, and it wasn't me. You compress, and like somebody's getting the crappy out of him. Like, good for him, and you relax. For me, that was just my thing. But I digress.
Something tells me
If
he
the
got a leather.
FBI is watching this, if someone goes missing,
Something tells me he has a leather mask and like some nipple clamps
Not
and
for
stuff
years.
like that.
Bring out the gimp!
All right, couple things.
Final thoughts?
Couple things. One, even though later in his career he became more of a bruiser, Randy Macho Man Savage was a hell of a technician
Yes.
doing his thing.
yes.
All right? And two, I'm wearing this for a reason because Bret the Hitman Hart,
Yes.
one of the greatest, best there is, so forth and so on. He just got finished battling some physical ailments. I'm not going to get into it, but I'm glad he's doing better.
Yes.
And congratulations, man. I'm proud of you, and to your whole family. Thank you. Go ahead.
I mentioned him earlier in passing, and we could talk about this guy for a whole show
Sign
too.
guy Dudley was not a technical.
He was not a technician on the grand scale. No, Brock Lesnar. Here's a guy hybrid. We had intention of starting this show about bruisers and technicians, and we very quickly went into hybrid because there's so many people that can do both very well. And here's this guy, NCAA champion, an amateur wrestler, killing it in pro wrestling. His suplexes are just badass. And another
That's
guy,
all
Taz,
he's doing, though.
that's all he's doing.
Okay,
But you know what's
all right.
getting over? And it's
We
working,
do-
and he's believable.
We do have to go, and I don't mean to cut you off.
Taz too!
Kurt Angle. That's all I'm going to say right now. Kurt Angle. Right at the. I don't know why we weren't mentioning him because he probably the best wrestler, period, out there. Technically, on paper, and in real life.
Absolutely.
We have so much fun doing this. Check us out on Facebook, That Way Cool Wrestling Show, and at the website, thatwaycoolwrestlingshow.com. For Charles, LeGrande, and Mark, my name's Danny J. We'll see you at the matches. Goodbye, everybody.